Hello everybody, hope you're doing really well. Today I am at just a bucket list place to go to really, which is Old Sarum Fort in English Heritage, Wiltshire in Salisbury. Please enjoy your history lesson and I'll of course see you on the other side. This is so cool, we're actually inside it now, so see you on the other side, come on. Located in Wiltshire lies many incredible historical sites, like the world famous Stonehenge, but Old Sarum also stands as one of these places that for its historical importance you can't ignore. Old Sarum would start its life as an Iron Age hill fort being erected on the site around 400 BC, controlling the intersection of two trade paths and the Hampshire Avon. It would then still be in use around the Roman period as they recognised its importance as a trade route, but then after this it would be the Saxons who would turn it into a more defensive site in the 6th century, and later it was used as a stronghold against the marauding Vikings. However, it was William the Conqueror in 1069 who realised how important Old Sarum was, and without hesitation built a motte-and-bailey castle within the older Iron Age hill fort. In 1086, William summoned all the powerful men of the realm to Old Sarum, where they swore allegiance to him to be faithful against all other men. The oath was demanded at a time of crisis when the conqueror was facing revolt and invasion, and seems little doubt it was intended as a practical assurance and reminder rather than as a constitutional statement, and would be at this point the start of Old Sarum's mark on the timeline of this sacred isle. After this, as you can imagine, the site would see many changes structurally, after starting predominantly when a courtyard was added in 1100 by Bishop Roger, then deciding to build a royal palace in 1130, and finally the ongoing building of a cathedral on the site not being finished until 1078. Then fast forward in time to 1171, King Henry II ordered that improvements were made to Old Sarum, including a new gatehouse, drawbridge, inner bailey walls and a treasury constructed within the keep of the castle. The former cathedral on the site was formally dissolved in 1226 when a newer constructed cathedral was being built nearer the meeting of the rivers, and a settlement grew up around it, which received a city charter in 1227 as New Sarum, then becoming what we would now know as Salisbury. The castle would slowly fall into ruins after this, with a brief repair only to be demolished in 1322 by King Edward III. As time rolled by, its last interesting and slightly unusual mark on history would come during World War II, when a battle headquarters for what would be RAF Old Sarum was placed on the site, only to be, when English Heritage took over, to be converted into a public convenience, which, as World War II history goes, is as interesting as it gets. Now given Grade 1 listed status, this is a fascinating place full of history, and it's one that I can safely say for any history lover is a must to check out, should you be in the area. Hello everybody, welcome back. So we're starting our journey inside and then we're going to work our way outside. So we're in what would have been namely the lower chapel. And as you probably guessed from your history lesson, this place has seen so much interesting history. My real dalliance with it is probably more with William the Conqueror and his importance on the site itself. And then obviously the irony that the toilets were part of Old Sarum's RAF battle headquarters. So if you have been here before and you thought, those toilets look remarkably interesting, it's probably because, well, it is because of the fact that they were battle headquarters. Who gets to say they get to go to a toilet and an RAF little bunker? But isn't that amazing? There's definitely, when you come here, there's definitely an interesting energy about the place. It really does symbolise it, and it's so busy today, and actually it's quite nice always to see stuff like this. Obviously, for many, many years, from Celtic, Roman, Saxon, Norman, this place was a huge hive of activity in the likes of even up until World War II. The fact that it still had this prominent, remarkable, really. Really cool. So it says on there, in the 12th century, few visitors who would have gone beyond this point. Only those who had been granted an audience with the king or his officials would have entered the building. To your right, and climbed the stairs to an upper courtyard at the upper level, was the royal palace. It's basically up there. So we're now standing on part of the castle, and the walls and the foundations are simply remarkable, and they're so thick, so you can imagine how important this defensive network was here. And the irony was that it was the ramparts themselves, or the ditches, were just as impressive in the first place, and then obviously with multiple phases they just build this, and it's just, even though it's obviously still a ruin, you really do get an incredible idea of what this would have looked like, of how thick these foundation walls were. Just remarkable, really, really remarkable. So here we are. It says the rooms above your head. It says when the castle was abandoned in the 16th century, the upper parts of the great tower were demolished. You can only guess at what they might have looked like. Must have contained a hall, several chambers, and perhaps a private chapel for the king and queen. In the later 12th century, King Henry II had a new extension added to his tower. This contained his dressing room and toilet, also contained his treasury, and also, for everybody out there, obviously we know as well, we were not too far away from Clarendon Palace, the old hunting lodge. Obviously I've done a video on that, so feel free to check that out as well. I think if you type in Clarendon Palace on my channel, you'll probably find it. But yeah, we're not too far away from that. In fact, again, we're a stone's throw away from that. So medieval Wiltshire, we're pretty much surrounded by in all these aspects. And ironically, there's still some remnants of World War II stuff, like I said, such as a starfish decoy site literally across from here. There's obviously a few other hill forts as well, which follow this sort of like path away from Salisbury, I suppose, depending on which way you're coming from. But those ditches are incredible. Like when you walk across them, they're just huge. I mean, they're enough in their own right, really. And then to build, like I said, these huge foundations and these fortified walls, remarkable. Great tower, the basement, well, part of the basement, really. Again, it just proves this beautiful walls that are so well constructed. Really fall in love with a place like this. Even though it's a ruin, you really get the sense of scale and the importance of a place like this. Remarkable. So, we're still on the King's Great Tower, but look at these steps that still survive. I said I apologise to the wind, but how remarkable are they? They're just so big. Brilliant, I love it here. So now we're overlooking the great cathedral church that we know is at the back here. Roger of Caen, who was the Bishop of Salisbury, as well as being the King's Chancellor, said he wanted to keep an eye on the cathedral and the castle. And we're looking at it now, and you can see very distinctly that beautiful cross sort of section shape. And then if we look in the distance, we can see the spire of modern day Salisbury Cathedral. It's all here, really is. Here we are at, obviously, which is quite common with Phoenix history, we need to check where the toilets are. So this was the royal privy. It says toilets were not flushed by water, instead it just waste fell into deep pits filled with straw and bark. We should know this anyway, but there's a beautiful depiction as well, just in case you didn't know what somebody sitting on a toilet would look like. And then here's our deep pits. Look at that. Always think with privies, because you always know they're quite high up. You can imagine if there was an accident, that if the wooden toilet seat that you fell on, you'd crash right down. You'd do yourself some pretty bad damage, wouldn't you? And then also you'd be covered in poops. Think about that one. Well everybody, we are now at pretty much the bit that I'm most excited about, which is the ruins of the cathedral that was here. Obviously it's hard to tell how large this was, and especially with how overcast the weather is, but I can assure you this would have been hugely prominent and just remarkable. I mean, you know, I can't tell you how privileged it is to actually finally visit this place. I've had many opportunities to try and be here, but you know, I've always needed to wait for the right opportunity to come here, so you know, always good with that. But yeah, let's check out the cathedral, come on. Well, here we are. I do apologise, like I said in advance, for the wind that's been coming out and everything else, but I've tried my best to do a little bit of a different video today, more in keeping with the old style of Phoenix history, but it's really focusing on the history and just to encourage you to come down here. But look at this cathedral, look at the ruins that are here. It's remarkable. The actual layout is so clear, and it's clear when you stand up on there when the castle tower as well. You just get this almighty sense of how prominent and important this was in one period of time. Truly remarkable, and I love seeing everybody's walking their dogs down in the old car park. There's a few really spiritual hippie people have parked up, which is brilliant. And even though you've got to pay for entry and pay for parking, obviously I'm not actually, believe it or not, I'm not actually an English Heritage member, and I should be really for the amount of places that I visit, but I still support them in every way possible. So they have like charitable donations, which I do occasionally donate, because obviously I tell you how important history is, and the fact that, especially with my mental health, as we've spoken about before, how important it is to go visit these types of places. And if you have to pay for it, so what? Because you're paying for the preservation of it. And I've been told on good authority that the toilets here are very clean as well, which is always a good bonus in my book. In the fact they also are, like I said, a former battle headquarters for RAF Old Sarum. There you go. But here we are. The hidden cathedral, the Canons Cemetery, the cloister, which is over there, would have been over there, and then we've got a garden, which is on the right here, on the left, sorry, on the right, left, Lays Folk Cemetery. Behind us is the nave, which we could pretty much assume anyway, which is down there, and you can see the individual, we'll go closer, where the individual pillars would have been to arch to use as arches, obviously, if you can use your imagination. And it says here, look, Old Sarum Cathedral was demolished in favour of a new one built at Salisbury, which we know very well now, in 1220. Beautiful. So look, there it goes with our indication there. The late 11th century, early 12th century, Bishop Roger, and in our mid 12th century there, Bishop Jocelyn. Wow. So the only extra bits that are mid-late 12th century seem to be one of the entranceways and one of the back entrances or back parts of the nave, and the predominant section, which you can imagine anyway if they're going to extend it out, it's part of the 11th century, the early part of it. But wow. I mean, it's not the greatest ruin of all, but when you put it into context and how significant it is, it really just adds to it. Oh, and another thing, I just want to say thank you so much to the incredible staff here at Old Sarum. It's rare that I actually get to see many staff working at English Heritage Sites, so the fact that I've got to do it today, brilliant. Thank you so much, because you've been so kind as well, and just really helpful. I mean, even though obviously I know you understand the history of a place like this, it's just so nice when they're so helpful and kind to you in a manageable way, if that makes sense. They're not sort of like getting in your face, they're just sort of letting you enjoy it, but also just being there for you just in case. And so if you're part of Old Sarum here, thank you so much, and you work here, and what a privilege. How lucky are you, because you're working in Wiltshire, which as a Kent lad for me I'm very jealous of, because as I always said about Wiltshire, it's like Kent but with just more greenery. You could debate that amongst yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to stand like right on that. And yeah, love it here, so thank you so much to staff. But wow, look at this. Now at the nave of the cathedral, and was the only part of the ordinary where the ordinary people were allowed to attend. Ceremonies involving only the clergy took place at the far end, closed off behind a screen. There we go, and you can see where the original pillars would have been on each side, linking up. It's incredible. And then again with our castle at the top there, and our bishop's palace. Nice little remainders of the wall here. Wow, really, I'm in love with this place. It's literally everything and more that I dreamt of when I always wanted to visit this place. So yeah, brilliant. Okay, so sorry about it being a bit dark, but we're now on the outer rampart really, or well no, actually we're sort of in the inner one really, I suppose. Oh, I suppose we're in the inner one, because as you see it dips down and it goes one more time after that, and then it overlooks Salisbury over there in the distance and the wonderful rugby fields. And then if we take a look just back here, you can see the inner one, which would be the inner rampart there with the, you can imagine really how well high up that is in terms of the fact that the castle would have been really prominent as that stuck out. And at one point obviously the cathedral would have been huge as it came through there. I mean, cathedral size, I mean we're not talking Salisbury Cathedral, I mean that's way larger, but it's still a significant size. So yeah, amazing really. Let's take a little nosy around this rampart here. So I think for today, all we're going to do is just stick to this one. We know we can walk down that one, but really the main history, as we know, is inside this. And I'm sure, like I said, if you've seen my channel enough, you've probably seen a good amount of hill forts, so you get a good idea of their fortifications. I'm just amazed that the ditches are still huge here. I mean, absolutely huge. But yeah, let's carry on going. Hello everyone. We've done a wonderful loop at Old Sarum and I'm truly grateful for it because it's been remarkable and really impressive. We could have gone down to the other one, a rampart, or the ditch, but we decided to stick to these two for obvious reasons. It's amazing how wide it is around here, and actually you do get a lot of steps in. I apologise again for the wind coming for advance. This was just more of a focus on its history rather than anything else. I really encourage you without question to come down here if you should be in the area. I really do. Really just go. In more words of Phoenix history, because history matters, feel free to spread the word, channel. Much love to all of you out there. Take care, and I will see y'all very soon. Old Sarum, everybody. Remarkable. Take care. Kapow.